background on this folder and my overall love for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I said it. When I was in high school, I was a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, to the extent that I had a counseling jersey because I used to be kind of like an assistant to the gym teacher program. It was called Student Leaders Program, and I was a counselor who I would be in the gym classes and do the calisthenics for the kids and just make sure they all kept in line, help out the gym teachers. But everyone who was part of this special program had a jersey, and the name on the back of my jersey was, instead of Smalek or a nickname, I chose TMNT because I was really into it at the time. So in any case, let's go back a little bit further and talk about the Turtles. So when I was in 7th and 8th grade, actually probably when I was 11 years old, whatever grade that would have been in, I started going to my local library, and they had a weekly or an every other week Dungeons and Dragons session on Saturdays. When I first started going, I was actually too young to participate, but they let me watch, and the week that I turned 12, I could not wait to go to that session. So I played Dungeons and Dragons with a group of teenagers. I don't really even know how old the other kids were at that time, but I was certainly the youngest. And eventually, people drifted in and out of the group, and they decided to try different games besides Dungeons and Dragons. Well, what would happen is my grandfather would drive me to the library, drop me off, and then he would go back to my house where my mom would actually cut hair for my grandparents. And then 2, maybe 4 hours at the most later, I would give them a call on the payphone, and I would ask him to come pick me up. My grandpa Elmer would come pick me up, and he would drive me to Little Caesars Pizza, where we would get the 2-pizza deal and bring that back. And my whole family, my grandparents, we would all have Saturday pizza every week. My mom would get a couple bucks under the table for cutting their hair. And it was just nice to have that family connection. Sometimes my cousins, Scotty, and folks would come with us, would come with my grandparents to my house as well. And then, we could all play together. So this proceeded definitely into 7th and 8th grade. And there was one week that was kind of an off week for gaming. I think there was only 3 other guys at the library at the time. And again, they were a little bit older than me. I don't even remember their names, unfortunately. But one of the guys who was going to be the game master for that week brought a book called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. This was sometime after 85. I'm going to guess it was probably early 86, but I'm really not sure. And this book was this was a role-playing game by Palladium Books. It was new at the time, and it was credited, the designer was credited as Eric Wujcik, and the art team was Eastman and Laird, who did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics. Now, up to that point, I had never heard of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was not a cartoon on TV, as far as I'm aware, or anything else like that. I had been used to playing fantasy role-playing games in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, so I had never heard of such a thing, but I figured I like role-playing games. Let's try it. What the heck? It was modern day, and the characters for our first session were villains, all except for one guy who was playing a monkey who was a scrupulous or a lawful morale. He was a good character, and he called the cops on his own team, so we tied him up, and then, in any case, we were villains. I don't know if we were robbing a bank or what we were doing, but I just remember we spent almost the whole time in this big role-playing in this big open square, and the cops were coming to get us, and we were fighting back and trying to escape. And it was just like nothing else I had ever played before. And our characters were mutant animals, or animals mutated into bipeds so they could walk on 2 legs. They could use swords, guns. I don't even remember what character I had. I have no idea to this day what it was. The only character I can remember was the monkey who was part of our team, who turned on us and turned us into the cops. I'd never played anything like that. So the next day, or less than a week later, I had went out shopping with my friend and his mother. She was driving us around shopping, and I said I would go with. And I wanted to find some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff. So I asked if we could stop at the comic book store. We did. They either didn't have the book, or they were out of it, or they were closed. don't even remember why, but I could not get that role-playing book that week. And I wanted it so bad, but so be it. So instead we went to the grocery store, and we found at the checkout counter a sticker album of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stickers. So you'll see some of those in the material that I've kept. At some point later, I bought the folder, probably just because it was Turtles. But at that point there, I was hooked. I was going to do anything I could to get my hands on the material, create my own characters, my own stories, and then I was all the way through high school and even into college game mastering pretty much daily Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles adventures. Sometimes it strayed into the realm of superheroes, futuristic. We played other Palladium games, but that's all information for another show. The point was, for whatever reason, at that point in my growing up adolescence, role-playing game career, Turtles was all we could think about, and it was awesome. So I started, I've always been a doodler, and I've always been a drawer, which you will see, and I'm not that good at drawing people. I'm not good at the proportions of arms and legs and bodies and all that stuff. But for whatever reason, the turtles being cartoon-like were I felt easier to draw, and so I spent a lot of time drawing them and even trying to draw them in different athletic positions. And as I was saying, I visited the library every week, and through playing this game, I started researching topics that I was completely ignoring in school, like history and geography and things like that, that really, when I sat down with a book because I wanted to come up with some material for the role-playing game, it helped my education along. And because I was writing so many background stories and NPC histories and things, it actually helped me to be a better writer. Now, I've probably gotten rusty in the last few years, but I have very fond memories of a lot of those stories, and who knows, maybe someday they'll come to light. So that's pretty much the background section. What's next are the content of this folder. It's going to be 3 separate segments, so hopefully you are as eager as I am, and I will see you on the other side.